Oh, hello, lovely. Welcome to this week's episode of Lotus Life, the podcast. My name is Rose Toshiri, and among many things in this lifetime, I'm a human design guide, a soul mentor, an author, and a podcaster, which is why we're here on this show where we get to hang out each week and chat about all things human design. I'm here to guide you on how you can thrive in your most aligned life by empowering yourself to understand your unique soul's purpose. Human design is a beautiful synthesis bringing together ancient wisdom and modern science, and is an incredible way of understanding the contract between your soul and the universe for who you came here to be, what you came here to do, and what karma you came to correct this lifetime around. This podcast, Lotus Life, is a celebration of embodying the beautiful lotus flower that blooms and thrives, growing from the murkiest and muddiest of conditions in life. A great metaphor for our imperfectly perfect human existence, right? Get ready to lotus your life. Today on the podcast, I have an incredible guest to share with you. Lauralea CANTRELL is a manifesting generator with a 1-3 profile. She has the most beautifully defined centers, being her solar plexus, sacral, spleen, and heart, alongside two gorgeous, completely open centers in both the head and ajna. She has emotional authority, and this conversation is wow, and covers a lot of ground, which when you're talking to someone who embodies such incredible divine feminine wisdom, priestess energy, and who works to support other souls as a sex and relationship coach, Reiki master, channel, intuition activator, and creatrix, well, you can see why I am really, really excited to share this conversation with you today. I've worked with Lauralea myself after having a period of time when I repeatedly received nudges from my own team of guides to explore my old soul contracts. I was listening to a guided meditation one night while I was in bed, and out of nowhere, Lauralea's name came to me. Now, we hadn't even had a conversation with each other at this point. I think I'd maybe been following her on Instagram for a little while, thanks to someone else that I had seen who had done some work with her, but we literally hadn't ever connected before, and it was just a nudge that I knew not to ignore. And anyway, the energetic chords we worked through around my throat chakra have been fucking incredible, and just releasing and exploring past experiences when my soul has felt unsafe to use my voice, just shedding those layers. And Lauralea shared her incredible gift for taking me on a shamanic journey to ground my energy that always wants to float away and, kind of get off this planet that doesn't feel quite like home for my starseed soul. So so much goodness to share. So I don't want to make you wait any longer. Let's dive on into the episode. So first things first, my lovely, if you are happy to share with everybody listening, I love to dive in and ask all my guests that come on the podcast how they started their day this morning. If you can run us all through it and dish all the juicy details.
We have a very relaxed start to our day, and that is because I was determined not to rush my kids out the door. So we actually have a high sound and a low sound in our family. So my daughter walks around the house singing, and she has to take her time. She's a manifesting generator, doesn't like to be overwhelmed in any way, shape or form. So we just go kind of slow for her, and literally the only thing that they need to do is eat their breakfast, get dressed. I do their lunches, I pack their bags, we get it all sorted, and they listen to music or they watch TV. So it's quite cruisy. We don't get up early. I'm very, very lucky. We live 3 houses away from school, so that makes it easy. But we have quite a quiet start to the morning. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful, and such a permission slip, right, for you as their guide in this lifetime to sort of say, hey guys, let's do it this way that works for all of us, and not try and put some sort of timeline in place that we're all racing towards.
Yeah, it doesn't work. She ends up overwhelmed, and the day just, it carries on terribly for her. So just understanding the energy. My son's quite sensitive too, and I have found that when we allow ourselves to wake up a bit later and we cruise through the morning, they have a much, much better day. If I try and hustle them, if I try and do all the things you're supposed to do as a parent, that guilt of getting everything sorted and getting them out on time, it just doesn't work for us. I'm so grateful we live this close to school. It helps.
And because your son is a projector, am I right? Yes. So that's a beautiful gift right there, to allow your projector lots of time and space.
Yes.
No,
they even get up before I do. We all like our own pocket of space in the morning. So I'm awake and, I get their breakfast and stuff, but I have my cup of coffee by myself. They do their thing by themselves. Then we get together and chat, and it works. It works so well for us.
That's beautiful. And do you have any kind of your own morning sort of rituals and routines that you then get into after they've sort of headed off to school for the day?
Well, I actually start before. Like I said, I get up a little bit after them, and I start my morning with a body scan. So as soon as I wake up, I usually scan through my energetic system and just feel into, what is asking for attention, anywhere my body's out of alignment. I do it at night as well. So it's nighttime and first thing in the morning. I try and do some dream recall and maybe feel into what messages or what's been coming up. And I try to really just slowly move through my mornings. So it's a coffee or it's a cacao, it's a little bit of music. Once they've gone to school, I usually spend some time in meditation, check on what's happening throughout my day, and I just give myself permission to go slow. It's what I've learned to do very well over the last few months, is to slow the fuck down.
And I think it's so interesting, isn't it, when you then look at it through the lens of probably your version of slow is actually not everybody else's definition of slow, but it probably feels incredibly slow to you, I would imagine, after years of probably being in that go sort of lane at times.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a single mama, and I was working a part-time job in town, which was 30 minutes from home. So mornings were rushed. It was trying to meal prep before, for nighttime. It was trying to get the kids to school. It was trying to show up at work before 9 o'clock, and it was years of hustle. And I'm just determined, my slow is probably busy, but for me it feels so calm and almost to the point of lazy some days. It's like, get moving a bit more. But I'm quite creative, and I like to take the time to maybe do some art, with the light codes, or maybe do some channeling. I've spent most of today channeling or playing with the sound bowl that I just got last week. I like to play.
And that's such an important, I guess, part of your overall design as a manifesting generator, isn't it? Is bringing in that playfulness without trying to put any definition around what it has to look like or how it has to be. Can just go with what feels good.
Yeah, it's routines don't work so well. There's like an underlying routine with flexibility, if that makes sense. It's like, I want to change up and I tune in. What do I need to do today? Do I need movement? Do I need sound? Do I need to write? Do I need to create? I give myself permission, which I've never done in my life until this year, but I give myself permission to go, what do I want to do? What do I feel like this morning? And it's a luxury. I get that it is a luxury to be able to do this, but I have really given myself permission to find what helps me thrive versus what pushes me into fear.
I love that. And I love that that sort of distinction between rhythm and ritual. I absolutely love sort of being able to I guess hear that in real life variations of that for people, when you're able to say, this is the kind of undercurrent, this is the rhythm, but the ritual doesn't have to have this sort of fixed constraint. It can change up, it can be flexible, and it can be, you know, dynamic, which is absolutely incredible. Oh, I love that. And just out of curiosity, how do you take your coffee? I'm such a coffee I'm such a coffee nerd.
I only started drinking coffee right before our first lockdown, so I don't know who does that.
What?
I know. I've never done. I was caffeine free for years, but
Oh my God.
I was hitting that burnout stage, and I just needed something more. And I just decided that's it. I'm 43. Maybe I should try coffee, and I discovered I actually liked it. So I am still learning, and I am either a vanilla or a white chocolate latte. But for me, again, it's more that ritual. I adore a hot drink because it makes me slow down. I actually take my time to sit with it. So I don't care if it's a tea or a coffee or a cacao. It all brings in this energy of slowing down and savoring. I'm a smell person, and I didn't understand until recently how important that was in my life. So it's got to smell good. It's got to taste good. It's got to feel good. It just brings into this whole environment. So usually maybe I'll light a candle, or it's just quiet. It's like, I remember having children when they were babies, and every time my tea went cold. So it's almost like creating this ritual, so I get to enjoy it while it's hot now. It's a priority.
I love that. That's such a good, I guess, example of how our self-care can just show up in the absolute fucking smallest of places, right?
The
Just
simple, absolute simple. It
oh,
doesn't have to be over the top.
no, and it doesn't have to be some massive ordeal that you go through. You know, I think social media's got a lot to answer for when it comes for painting the picture of what self-care should be, according to somebody else's definition. So I love that. I absolutely love that.
And I think there's a flexibility in that too with the self-care. You know, I teach a lot of my clients, it's like, how do we make the ordinary extraordinary? How do we take our daily activities and bring them into this moment of reverence, whether it's washing the dishes, whether it's sitting in the sunshine having a cup of tea? It's like, are you tuning into your body? Are you tuning into your highest version of self every single time, even in the ordinary? But I don't like doing housework. It's well known. You know, if you come to my house, it's a little bit chaotic. I don't like doing the dishes. I don't like having to do the washing. It must be some past life energy of not having had to do it. But it's like really going, this is part of my daily and it's got to be done. So how can I bring some reverence to it? How can if I can't make the ordinary amazing and feel good, how on earth can I appreciate the extraordinary?
Wow, that's such a quotable moment right there. How do we make the ordinary extraordinary? I love that. That's incredible. Oh, she's already dropping the truth bombs. Woo! So for everybody who's listening in who maybe hasn't already come across you and your beautiful, I hate to say work, it's more than that. It's mission, purpose, energy that you bring to this world, and they're meeting you for the first time here on this podcast. Can you share with us all a little bit about yourself and what it is that you're here in this lifetime to do?
Absolutely. It all comes down to, I want you to tune into the potential that you have, the gifts that you are here to bring to the world. Like, how are you getting in your own way? So I work as a channel. I do a lot of inner child work. I'm actually a sex and relationship coach and spiritual counselor, but I blend all of it into this calling you on your bullshit and helping you find your inner sovereignty versus all the noise that is outside of you. And this is why I like to bring in the daily ritual as a reverence, because where are you getting caught up in what you should be doing and what everybody else is doing and not hearing your own inner wisdom all the time? And this is what I teach my clients, to tap into their intuition, to listen to their body wisdom, to go for their dreams and desires, and to see where they are getting in their own way. I do a lot of shadow work, and people get confused about what that is, and they think it's scary. But essentially the shadow is anywhere that you are hiding from yourself, and being able to shine the light on it so you can pull the gifts out of it and release what you don't need any longer. It's like any beliefs that aren't working, any conditioning that's not working for you to step into your highest, that's what we work with. That's bringing the shadow into the light.
That's beautiful. And I love that. I think I've seen you talk about it on your Instagram about kind of a process of slow illumination for other souls, so that they can sort of have that. It's quite, I think with you, I've often felt that you've got such a beautiful energy about the work you do that starts with this foundational process, right? It's so grounded in making sure that it's sustainable for people.
Yeah, it's right, coming back to you. I talk a lot about coming back to your center, and I play in the galactic energy, I play in Gaia, I play in this amazing, beautiful channeled energy, but you can't get into it if you can't hear your own voice and if you're not in your body. So I don't take people on these big journeys straight away, because they actually need to come back into their own body and even begin to trust their intuition, and it's not going to stick unless you trust it yourself. So I really work on how to trust your intuition, how to trust your inner knowing, what are your gifts. Then we do the past life and the inner child and the ancestral energy. It is a process, and that's why I decided one session just doesn't cut it anymore. It's a process.
That's so true, isn't it? And that's such a, I guess, freeing permission slip for yourself, isn't it? That you've sort of had that, I guess, wisdom about you to know that you need to structure this so that you can show up and guide the people who come to you in the most powerful way that you can.
You have to trust me too, and that takes a little bit of getting to know each other. So it's usually a minimum of 3 sessions, because we've got to play in each other's energy, and so much vulnerability for someone to open their heart to me, a complete stranger, and let me see all of these facets that they don't even see themselves. That takes building a little bit of a rapport, and really being able to trust that I can hold you without judgment. And it's going to take more than one session to do that.
And I think we've talked before in other conversations prior to this podcast about how it's been a process that you've gone through of knowing that, allowing what you offer to keep evolving with you, right? That Manny Jen kind of permission slip, that just because you say help someone in a certain modality 6 months ago isn't how you are necessarily going to show up and serve other people in another 6 months' time.
Absolutely. I give myself permission to break the rules. And there's this beautiful term called polymath, and it's from the Renaissance days, and it's someone who is able to tap into lots of different styles and ways of being. And for me, that kind of, when I heard that word in the Gene Keys, it was like, yes, this is me, because I don't want to have to stick with one thing. I don't want to be a master just in one area. I want to play in so many. And we get told that, what is that saying, that tries everything but master at none. I can't quite remember the saying. And I really felt that as a Manny Jen, I was failing because I try this and try this and try that and didn't master anything. But you are mastering. You are learning and growing through every single experience. My gift is sex and soul, but it's also inner child. It's also past lives. I can't shut any of those down just to focus and master one. They are who I am, and that's my genius, is to be able to jump around to what you need.
And to sort of allow multiple things to be happening kind of concurrently to each other, right? That it's not either or in your existence. It's everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. The investigator in me would get bored.
Yeah, absolutely. And you need to give yourself that freedom of expression, because obviously if you are living in your highest expression, then that of course is going to flow into whoever comes across you at any given time.
Exactly. I think this is what we need to re-educate on. Not everybody is designed to find their ideal career and just stick with that. There is so much that needs to be changed in the system of actually allowing our children to express their gifts instead of putting everybody into this round hole. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of going into this new paradigm, going, well, we're all here to be unique, so why is it that we have continued with this sort of continuation of, as you say, trying to sort of fit everyone into boxes, rather than saying, actually, you know what, let's just burn the boxes and we've all got our own path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've got, being a mother, my children are chalk and cheese. I cannot parent them the same way. It's doing a disservice to one of them to try and parent them the same way. So, we're going to think about that in the bigger picture too. Is everybody needs something unique and different, and where we try to narrow it down into what we want and what makes us feel comfortable, we are missing their genius.
Oh, I love that. I love that way you've phrased that, because it is so much that it's recognizing that they have their own genius within them, and the more you can create a nurturing environment for that, they're just going to thrive no matter what.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the example you used, right, right at the start of this chat, was exactly that. It doesn't have to be these enormous big mountains we have to move. It's something as simple as saying, hey, we're going to start our mornings slow and allow you the space to express yourself truly.
Yes, absolutely. Even if it means singing really loud every single morning off key, we let it happen.
I love it. I love it. It's as you say, it's allowing for that expression no matter what.
Yeah, pretty much. She will tell me very, very quickly if I am overwhelming her. And I've given my kids freedom of expression. And, looking from the outside, it might look very unconventional parenting, but she will call me on, you are overwhelming me, you need to stop. And then she'll sit and do her mudras, her breathing, which we've just taught her. And it's like, she teaches me. She teaches me every single morning, along with driving me insane. She still teaches me everything.
Exactly. It's just so beautiful to know that there are going to be many, many younger souls at the moment on this planet that are getting this opportunity to be raised in an environment that nurtures them from day one, rather than say, probably a lot of the work, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the work you're probably doing with the inner child healing is often for adults having to go back and kind of wind it right back and start again.
Yeah, absolutely. Reparenting. And it's not, and I want to clarify this is not blaming your parents. This is not going back and saying this is all my parents' fault. It's actually coming to this awareness that your parents are unique souls and they are moving through their own stuff also, and do not always get it right. And they're quite often parenting from conditioning from what they grew up in. So it's taking ownership of like, that belief that I grew up with is not actually mine, and I get to change it. And it's healing the inner child and the constructs, and really connecting in with the play and the innocence, especially the erotic innocence when it comes to sexual healing. It's like really understanding all of the ideas and constructs that you took on from your parents, and not blaming them anymore, but taking responsibility that you get to shift and change it. So it's reparenting ourselves. And what I see then is you go out and you parent your children in a new way. So you're not putting your stuff onto them and creating this ongoing cycle. You are owning it and not getting triggered by your children. You're actually witnessing. They hold up beautiful mirrors to us of where we're still holding wounds, and we get to reparent ourselves as we parent them. And it's such a beautiful gift.
Oh, you're so right. It's the mirror thing, I think, is such a good piece of understanding to sort of tuck away in your pocket, isn't it? That it's rather than allowing the sort of trigger to overwhelm you and get reactive. It's to go, actually, you know what, you are just a mirror for everything that's inside me as an adult that's got, you know, your own inner child hanging out in there.
Absolutely. I think people get caught up on the mirror thing of like, again, it's a way of not taking responsibility or bypassing. But what I feel it is, you know, taking the fact that the world, everything in the world is reflecting back to you, your current belief system. And if you are being triggered, or, you know, someone is coming in to show you how much you've grown, but especially if you're being triggered, and I don't love the word trigger, it's just a reflection of where you're at the moment. If you are really needing to feel into this, it's not that you called this in or this person is even destiny. It's just take every single opportunity to understand where you are hiding your heart or where you are guarding your heart, and you're reacting versus responding.
I love that, and I guess you can probably speak to this a little bit as well, that I guess there's ways in which we can look at, for example, living with a 3 line in your profile, that those sorts of life learnings and experiences, you know, in that example of having a 3 line that you're living every day, they are going to keep kind of coming back around
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. And my child is a 6, so he's living the 3 currently, you know, as a child. And just what I, especially teaching him, and what I wish I had known as a child, don't take it personally. How can you grow from it? What are you learning about yourself? Really understanding that the other person might have something going on with them. And the more we take it personally, we are perpetuating the problem. So it's really like, okay, everybody's got their own stuff going on. Somebody might have been having a bad day. Where am I holding that energy within myself? Why do I need to take it on personally? Why am I reacting so strongly? Because there is something within you that's asking for attention.
And I think so much of it as well is taking away that judgment or sense that, you know, the pressure we grow up with often from that conditioning from society, that if we have the same lesson come around again, that we're some sort of failure, you know, that we didn't nail the first time round, and it's come up again, and oh my God, I'm a fucking failure, and it's all a disaster.
Yeah.
Not the case.
No, every time it comes around again, you're seeing it from a different perspective, and you've been given opportunity to respond to it in a way from what you have grown. Like, it's going to come up again to show you. Some mirrors come to show you how much you have grown. It's like, is it time to walk away because you keep meeting this same energy? Is it time to go a little bit deeper into why you are meeting the same energy? What within you still wants to work through this? And it's not that you failed. It's like, is there another angle to look at it from? There's no pass or fail, and I think that comes from religious concepts of we're going to go to heaven and be judged. There is no pass or fail. There is only opportunities of growth.
Oh yes, love that way of looking at it. Gosh, I have so many. Every time you start talking, I just get flooded with so many more questions. This is incredible. So I just wanted to touch on, you mentioned earlier that you work with light codes, and yes. I know I find this absolutely fascinating whenever you share about it on social media. Can you kind of give a bit of a like light codes 101 to anyone who is sort of listening and maybe doesn't quite know what that refers to?
Yeah, so light codes for me are a vibrational energy. Sometimes, like you might see, if you do any work with me, I wave my hands around a lot. And what it is there is not always a word, and even vocal toning is a way of bringing in through a light code. There is not always a word to shift energy or to bring energy in or to activate something within you. Sometimes it needs to be visual. Sometimes it's just that vibrational energy. So I tend to tune in and draw what's coming through and sometimes I'll get given a message with it, sometimes I'll just get given a word. And quite often when I draw and I'm specifically tuning into a client, I'll call in a spirit animal at the same time and code that energy into their work. I learned through the amazing Victoria Perini, she's on Instagram, and I actually took a course to learn how to open up to this energy. It's called Scribe School, and it's knowing from past life energy that there's this scribe energy within me that desires to write and desires to create. And for me, if I can't find the words, the code, the shapes, it's sacred geometry, helps me to bring through the energy I just don't have the words for.
That's beautiful. And you will quite often sort of, as you say, you can sort of be doing them sort of on the go as you're working energetically with people, but you'll quite often end up drawing them, won't you, as well?
Yes. I'm looking to improve and find new programs because I can't always draw what I see. I'm kind of restricted with the shapes that I have at the moment. So I've actually started freehand drawing them lately. But if you saw my shower in the morning, there are light codes written all across my shower. And I was saying to my coach yesterday, I need a waterproof recorder because my best channeling happens in the shower. But for me, it's just moving energy. So I did a lot of it for myself to start with. I also do a lot of light language. And for me, it's just an energetic vibration way of moving stagnant energy. Some people journal it, some people write it, some people dance it. I code it and I speak it in light language and I tone it. And that's how I move my energy.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, because I think it's, as you say, it's so much that we can start to understand that this, I guess our process of being here in that very sort of dense 3D human existence, like there is just so much more going on energetically and vibrationally and tonally that we're just sort of recovering a lot of this information in the now.
Absolutely. It's like when you see a picture and it speaks to you, when you see a code, it actually moves into your energy and starts activating and shifting. And if you work with it, if you contemplate it, it will do even more work. So I love them. It's just another expression. And what it did is gave me permission to actually start being an artist. So that was a huge learning curve for me because I had a lot of that, and now I've got this digital way of expressing. It's just another way for me to channel.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that comes back round to the playfulness aspect, doesn't it, as well? That I guess often as adults, we tend to lose touch a little bit with our kind of creative or artistic nudges that we maybe had when we were young. We sort of pack them away and go, oh no, well that's not very sensible and adult like anymore, so we won't be exploring that.
Yes, actually it's funny, I went to my child's school interviews last week, and I wanted to speak up to the teacher because my son is doing this amazing creative writing, and it reminds me of when I was a kid and he had this mystical story about dragons, and there's so much dragon energy around, but it's a whole nother story. So this beautiful energy, and he was doing all this writing, and she's like, oh, we love it, but we need them to contain it and to get clearer and make their writing shorter. And I was like, do you know what you're doing? I said, that is exactly why I stopped writing as a child and why it took me 30 years to start writing and sharing my work again, because we want to. And I get it, they need to mark the work and they've got a lot of kids to look after, but they're shutting that down. But instead of letting the imagination run and the expression come out, they're getting so caught up in the spelling and the punctuation. It's like, give them some space to play. I get it from an education level, but I can also see how it's squashing because they get concerned on getting it perfect instead of getting it out.
And if that right there is not the possibly one of the biggest Manny Gen life learnings, right? You know, that you've just described, of that being sort of told that you are supposed to fit in this one box and do it perfectly, whereas the Manny Gen energy is to be all things at the same time, and to essentially not worry about the detail, just to
pretty much,
and to embody and to live and to as you say, bring that playfulness to it without worrying about, have I put a comma in the right place?
Oh, you should see what I sent out to my inner sanctum clients yesterday. I just looked at it again and went, man, there's some spelling mistakes. I need to go and read, because I was so excited about what I was putting out. I was like, here, have this. And went, oh, I actually need to refine that. But they got it.
Exactly. It's the thing, isn't it? That I guess it's that saying, like, progress over perfection in some way. It's going, actually, I could sit on this and perfect it, but that means that whatever that divine download and timing you were working with is kind of being altered.
Or it may not even go out because you're going to overthink it and you're going to start to doubt it, and it stagnates the energy.
Oh gosh. And yes, with your lovely double combo of completely open head and ajna center, I'm sure you know full well how that plays out sometimes.
Yes.
All the
absolutely doubts. All the doubts, and the identity center, all the doubts. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about really helping people to move past the doubts and find their own sovereignty again.
Oh, incredible. And you also touched on earlier, talking about when you're talking about your sort of self-discovery as a polymath and the gene keys journey you've been on. And I would just love if you could talk a little to the gene keys, what they are, how you kind of embrace them in your life. I would love for your investigator to take the floor and share with everyone.
Okay. It's funny, I came across Gene Keys and Human Design about the same time. I remember standing in a bookstore and the Gene Keys book was just, when books just light up and you're like, I just need that. And I picked it up, and it's a very big book, and I was like, I'm not ready for that. And I put it back on the shelf, and it wasn't until 6 months later I finally ordered it, because I needed to do a little bit of exploration into the human design. And for me, the human design is this amazing treasure map in a masculine energy. It's like a how-to, whereas the Gene Keys is more feminine. It's contemplation, it's sitting there, it's allowing it to wash over you. You can have the book, or you can actually purchase the audios, and it's like my Bible now. I'm either reading it or listening to it most days, and you get a holographic profile. And I love this from the inner child point of view, because you can do a couple of different activations, but one of them is moving back through your timeline as a child, from conception, from 0 to 7 to 7 to 14 to 14 to 21, so through the physical and the emotional and the mental body, and really seeing what you are working through, or where maybe you took on conditioning from growing up, and going back through it all slowly over time, because Gene Keys is not a 2-day vacation. It's like years of learning, and slowly over time you can actually unpick that inner child story to come back to your radiance, to come back to your reason for being here. And this holographic profile will show you your life purpose and what helps you create prosperity, and how you're here to show up in the world, and what your core wound is. The core wound I love, because it's something you took on in the womb during conception. It's like this core wound that's going to come up again and again and again, but when you master it, it actually becomes what you are here to do in this world. So I just think that there is so much beauty in the Gene Keys. For me, it's really become clear that my core wound is around victim energy, around this victim mode, and you can relate that back to my archetypal reading, back to my horoscope reading, back to my human design reading. It's moving and helping people move from fear and doubt back to equality, back to understanding who they are and rising in their energy. And a lot of it is around masculine and feminine energy, and bringing this equality into the people that I work with. So that's a wee riff.
Yeah, I love that. And just so much goodness there, because as you say, I think that's really beautifully the way you've described it, that for you it all kind of these different modalities and tools that we can use kind of integrate together. It's not a black and white, this one or that one. And I think that's why we, connect so well, because it's how I sort of see things as well. But I love the evolvement of these tools into something that continues to grow and be used, and they're not one at the expense of the other.
Absolutely. And I found like the more I got into gene keys, the more I opened up to astrology, which made me understand my human design easier. And, your holographic profile directly correlates to some of the channels and gates within your human design. So for me, it goes deeper into the human design, and I see the evolution. And I just think that the more you can add to your toolbox, you've got more to help with people.
Can you, how does the holographic profile work? I'm really curious about that, because I sort of have dipped my toe into the gene keys water myself, but not really had the time and space to play too much in that sphere. So I'm really curious to know how it all sort of works in terms of that holographic profile.
Okay, now bearing in mind, I've only been really in this for the last 6 months, so I am still learning, but I've been training with the Gene Keys group as well. And for the holographic profile, you can go through some different activations, but one thing that's been really key, especially from a business point of view, is you can actually tune into your brand, and you tune into how you do it. So what is your business here to do and how you do it? And again, it's like human design. You have your lines 1 to 6, and it's how you express your energy and how you show up in it. So I think it's great for business, looking at what you are actually here to teach and then how you do it, and then looking at seeing the thing you're going to get caught up on every single time is it's really beautiful to be able to see, this is where I self-sabotage myself constantly. And when I move through this, I'm going to be able to actually step deeper into my purpose. And there's 3 different activations or sequences that you can work through. So it is a time-consuming, contemplative process. But just if you take the your life's work and your vocation for your business purpose, it's really understanding and saying, I am here for this, and this is how I make it happen. And I think just that alone is powerful.
I so agree, because I think we again, there's a bit of that conditioning that comes through around the fact that we've sort of been in that energy of you go and you learn something and you do it in the shortest and most efficient time possible, and then you come out with sort of your grade, and then away you go. Whereas these sorts of tools and modalities are really something that you can spend time enjoying the process as much as learning from and then experimenting with.
Absolutely. And every single time I read it, I pick up something different, because again, for me, they work like light codes. It's a vibrational energy. You're going to take in what you're ready to hear, and they work slowly through your system. So for me, my life's work is around helping bring this family alchemy and this equality between the masculine and feminine energy. My vocation on how I do it is also where I get caught up, and it's like it's the victim mode and not showing up the way that I need to, and it's just seeing that actually the more I tune into clearing my victim mode, that's what I'm here to clear in other people. Anywhere that we get caught in the victim mode that prevents us from creating this beautiful equality and community and family alchemy, that is my stumbling block, but also my genius.
And I like that way you've described it, because as you say, it in the low vibration, it could just be seen as, this is my biggest weakness. But
absolutely,
all of these things we have are essentially our gifts, and it's learning to love them and use them in their highest expression.
Shadow to light. This is why I do the shadow work. It's like, don't stumble on it, like witness it, own it, and turn it around into the gift.
Oh, Fuck, I love that. I love that. From shadow to light. Oh, so juicy. Oh God, we could be here for hours. But what I'd love, if you don't mind sharing with everyone listening, is that and we've talked about this before, that I, as someone who has a completely open solar plexus in my design, I am eternally, you could say, fascinated by people who live with emotional authority. And I really just absolutely love hearing sort of that sharing of your lived experience of living with emotional authority, because I think it's so valuable to share these sorts of the in real life examples, right? Because I'm such a fan of taking it beyond the textbook, beyond the, beyond the written page. And I'd just love if you wouldn't mind sharing with everyone, how does it feel for you to sort of, I guess, live as a manifesting generator with emotional authority? If there's any sort of, I know it's sometimes hard to put these things into words, but if you could share how that sort of looks and feels and embodies for you.
It can look chaotic. There is a huge emotional wave that I ride, and again, I wish I'd known about this as a young woman, because I thought I had depression, and I don't have depression. It's just actually processing and allowing emotions to move through, especially when it comes to decision making. I have really cemented and clarified in the last couple of months of, if I am wavering on something, just pause. Like, there is no hurry. I don't need to make a decision today, because when I do, I don't make the best decision. So really learning, and this has taken time. It's taken working with my moon cycle. It's taken time working with my menstrual cycle, really understanding my emotions. But I'm so invested in it that my latest creation that I'm working through with my group is called Emotional Alchemy. And we're working through it because it is so powerful to let the emotions move through and to witness, rather than, again, getting into that reactive state of letting them take over. And I used to let them take over. And if you wanted to get under my skin, I was so reactive. People knew which button to push immediately. Whereas now I actually sit, and it's not saying I don't react, but I sit and I respond easier, and I listen to what's moving through my body. So for me, the emotional alchemy came clearer when I got into my body and started listening to my body and how it was responding to the thoughts and the processes and the emotions moving through it, and not seeing the emotions as outside of me or as something wrong with me, but as part of my unique makeup. So they are my gift. If I didn't feel these emotions so deeply, I wouldn't be able to tune into my clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's kind of learning to master your emotional intelligence, right? It's emotional IQ, and it's a powerful tool that you've come here with.
Yeah, and that goes back to the gene keys, because you're working through your emotional intelligence, your spiritual intelligence, and your literal mental intelligence. So, emotions are something we work through from 0 to 7. And the big thing about being a parent is, if we don't help our children move through these emotional experiences and how they show up in the world and how they feel safe in the world, they are going to continue operating from this childlike energy. They do not mature, even though they might be 25, 35, 45. They actually don't mature, because they're stuck in this process of reacting to the world rather than responding to the world. And with the human design, an MG is to respond. I had to learn how to do that. I had to rewrite the script and learn what a response felt like. I think I even messaged you the other day going, is there a great line of how I can explain responding? Because it's like, when I first got it, I was like, what the fuck do you mean respond? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Give me a clue. But learning the emotional wave really helped me tune into, that's how I'm responding. This is what it feels like. This is when to pause. So the power of the pause is huge for an emotional authority.
And for your kind of specific wave, it's that, I guess, I like to describe it as that sort of subtle build of pressure that sort of needs that release in order to get back to the kind of cool, calm, collected zone where, as you say, you're going to make your aligned decisions, as you say, rather than reactive or, jumping in
to something. FOMO is real, and when you have an emotional wave, don't trust the FOMO.
Yeah, 100%, because I think it's that it goes both ways, doesn't it? It's either the sort of reactive from the negative sense, but also can be reactive from the I'm just swept up in the moment, and then suddenly realize, oh fuck, how do I get out of this? How do I say no?
You should have just seen me ordering lunch the other day. I hadn't been out for ages and went out for a meal, and I'm having the open head and ajna. I pull everything like a sponge, and it was like I knew what I wanted to eat, but then someone started talking about this, and someone started talking about sharing a plate, and I was like, oh, and it just got busy, and I was like, oh, okay, sure, I'll share. That sounds amazing. And then the meal came. It was great, but the one beside me, I was like, that's what I wanted. Why didn't I order that? The FOMO is real, because it's just understanding that when I'm in those situations, I am sponging off everybody's energy, and it's easy to get excited and go with the flow.
I like that way of looking at it, that it's kind of again, it comes back to being able to trust yourself, doesn't it? That all that beautiful work you do with people, because it's also giving yourself the permission that on those occasions, I mean, obviously you can't wait 24 hours to decide what you're going to have for lunch. So at some points you have to just make a call.
You just got to hope you go somewhere where every meal is good.
Exactly. Oh, that's incredible. And yeah, it really is, I guess, for many gens, particularly with emotional authority, I think it's one of the harder sort of dualities to live with, isn't it? Because by nature, your energy is that sort of impulsive, follow whatever excites you, and then you've got this kind of handbrake going on that's going, well, no, but don't make a decision until you've sort of taken time.
Yeah, which is so hard, because we quite often make the decision. It feels really good that day, but the next day it's like, why did I do that? And I think what I learned, the biggest thing that helped me was having a massive dose of forgiveness. It's like owning, like, you didn't make the right decision, but you made it, so own it and do the best you can out of it and learn from it for the next time, and forgive the shit out of yourself for fucking up. That's all you can do.
And I guess it's kind of flushing all of those, like we touched on earlier, any of those past conditionings about the fact that if you do make a call that's not perfect, not aligned, or as you say, you fuck up on something, that it doesn't mean you're a failure.
Absolutely not. It's like, well, what did you learn? What are you not going to do next time? Or if you're going to keep repeating it, how long are you going to keep repeating it until you figure it out? Yeah. And that's okay too, because a manning generator will repeat it over and over again. I love that thing where it's like they talk about, there's a hot campfire, and the manifesting generator sees the signs, and everybody tells them it's hot. But for me, it's like I have to go and test it, and then I'll be standing guard going, don't touch it, it's hot. But I have to first, and then I'm going to teach everybody. Like, I've learned the hard way, and I feel like most of my life is I have learned the hard way. Let me tell you what not to do, and that's what it is.
Oh my god, I just got the biggest flash of a infographic of all the different types standing around a campfire.
Yeah. I think I heard that one from a training with somebody else. I can't remember where they're from, but when they said that, I was like, that is me. I am the one that will touch the fire. I mean, you can use it for anything. Don't swim in the deep water. Let me see how deep it is. And it's just so much out there. I'm going to experiment for you. Yeah. It's my gift to you. I'll experiment for you and tell you what not to do.
Oh, I love that. And it's just the biggest, I guess, as you say, dose of self-forgiveness to go, actually, you know what? That's the thing I'm here to embody. So why give myself a hard time for being that person who, exactly like you say, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to do it for you so that I can then share it with you.
Yes. I mean, literally, I have a 3-5 and a 4-6. This whole house is about learning by making mistakes. I can't be hard on them when I have done it my whole life. So, yeah.
And that's precisely the mirror, isn't it, as well, to sort of also be that guide for them that still allows them to live their own experiences, even if there's kind of every part of you is wanting to go, I told you so, like.
Yes. Well, that happens, but it still happens.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And I just thank you so much for sharing those lived experiences, because that's so much of what I just want to keep bringing, these in real life examples, moving it off the page and off the computer screen. And I'm just so grateful for you coming and sharing. And I know we could keep talking for so long on all of this. We might have to come back for part 2.
Anytime.
And just before we wrap everything up, would you mind sharing with everyone where they can find you, how they can connect with you, how they can work with you, and anything you've got coming up that we might be able to hear about?
Absolutely. I mainly hang out on Instagram. I show up on Facebook a little bit, but I mainly hang out on Instagram under Lauralea CANTRELL. And you can find me just lauraleacantrell.com. I have a very basic website. Again, I put it out there without much effort because I'd rather connect with you than spend time making my website look amazing. But you can book through there or just reach out and DM. I love a good DM conversation. I really enjoy getting to know people and building this community. At the moment, my latest offering is starting on September the 23rd. Is going to be an 8-week journey from rising to thrive. So moving from that fear energy, moving from being stuck and really coming back into your center and your sovereignty. So it's going to be a blend of, learning how to stop hustling and stop forcing life and moving into surrender and flow. And we hear a lot about surrender, but what that is just really moving into a space of trust with your inner knowing and flowing. So it's going to look at feminine and masculine energy, inner child, channeling, all the beautiful things that I bring together with looking at your gene keys in a little bit as well. So it's like, how do you begin to know yourself and move out of the victim energy and the stories and moving into thriving? And like, what is your genius? What is your magic? What are your gifts?
Oh, amazing. And I know that you're is that a group?
Yes.
Yeah. And I know your group, let's call them activations, are pretty fucking powerful.
Oh, I just love that, like a lot of my groups, I've done several over the last couple of years, and they end up having all these conversations and go out for dinners and connect online, and I'm not even part of it anymore. It's just building this community, and I kind of step back and start moving into the next one. But, I've got clients that have come back again and again and again, and they just love being part of the group. I do offer one-on-ones. There is an extra investment to do a one-on-one. I am actually opening space up for a couple of private clients to do 3-month journeys, like about amplifying your intuition, your sensuality, your sexuality, because I find that the body and your sexual energy is so integral to you stepping into your power and amplifying your intuition. We want to design our life. It's like we've got to look at all facets of it. That's why I became a sex and relationship coach. I was jumping and missing that beautiful sacral energy, and we need all of it to actually come into center. It's a very, very important aspect of what I teach, this divine feminine energy.
Oh, yes. Feel it. I've got the spidey senses are tingling.
The inner priestess. I thought of you when I was writing that this morning. It's very much about like tuning into the inner priestess, the inner goddess, the mother energy. It's like all the facets of feminine, like bring them to the force. This is how we change the world, right? This is not so much about, and I want to clarify, it's not so much about rising of the feminine and not helping the masculine, because I think when the feminine rises, we say, hey, I'm not available to be treated this way anymore, and the masculine will rise, and we actually step into our power and we parent these young men that are coming through and a more balanced, emotionally empowered aspect. So it's important for us to rise, but we're going to rise and see the bigger picture of why we are rising. It's not just about us, it's about this bigger picture.
And if that isn't the kind of don't know what the word is, like metaphor for this year, like the bigger picture and the as you say, not embracing one at the expense of the other in the masculine and the feminine, like that they come through together with that partnership. And for so many of us, women particularly, it's that, just allowing that feminine to start to come through with its own voice and own power.
Absolutely. And then tapping into your own inner masculine and being supported by it. So important. We don't have to do it alone. Even internally, we don't have to just be in this feminine. It's like feeling support in all ways. Incredible.
Thank you, just from the bottom of my heart, for coming and sharing and letting everyone hear about your magic, your alchemy that you're bringing to the world. I feel so grateful to have had the chance to, connect with you this year and to do some of my own work with you. And so I'm just so grateful for you coming on and sharing with everyone today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I could talk about this stuff forever. So.
You and I both. And thank you.
Oh, no, this has been great. Thank you.
Oh, that was just magical. I hope you enjoyed listening in. And remember, if you want to connect with Lauralea, you can find all the links in the show notes with this episode. And if you want to join in with her latest ways to work with her, which I highly recommend to do so, and I'm saying that purely from my own experience of working with this incredible soul, even if you're listening in the future, long after this episode airs, it's an incredible opportunity. And so yes, just do it. Just get in touch and find out ways you can work with this incredible woman. She is changing the vibration of our planet for the most magical, highest vibration ever. As always, if you love this episode, let me know. Tag me in a screenshot or email me, DM. Let me know your thoughts. If you're an emotional manifesting generator, would love to know how much of this, you maybe found resonated in your own life and own experience. Because remember, I love jamming on all things human design, IRL, in real life. And just thank you so much, as always, for being here and listening in. It's really a privilege to be able to bring these epic people and conversations to you all. I hope you're having a wonderful day whenever you might be listening to this episode. If you haven't already, come over and join in with the Facebook group. There's a link with the show notes. We jam on all things human design related, and you can meet other incredible souls in there who are, exploring their human design and living their own human design experiment as well. So, as always, enormous virtual hugs through the microphone, and I will see you on the next episode.